What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Deal Fishing Podcast. I'm Kevin.
That's Kevin. This is Mike.
We're
Trying to
coming
throw
at
him
you
off.
again. We're trying to get a few more broadcasts in to kind of make up for late spring and the summer. So here we are tonight. How you been, Mike?
Well, I'm very itchy, and I'm not so itchy. I had a coworker tell me that he is allergic to poison ivy, and that's what it's really about. He said it's not a topical thing. He said it's if your body's allergic to it because it
Mm.
gets in your bloodstream. And I can't believe that I believe any of that because that's not ever how I was ever told. But I was like, "You think I should be taking some Benadryl?" And he's like, "Yeah, I take Benadryl when that happens, and I go to the doctor and I get a steroid shot." And I'm like, "Whoa, dude, I got to be eligible for the next Olympics. I can't be taking steroids." So, being one
I
who's
don't
not
think
ready to call a doctor,
the wing eating Olympics requires a blood test. I think you'll be okay.
well, if it did, I wanted to be square. So, no performance enhancing elements in my body. So, I took 3 Benadryl before I went to sleep last night. I woke up and more than half the stuff is off my arm. Now, I also pretty much bathed it in that calamine lotion, like you were
Oh
saying
yeah,
to do.
yeah.
So I've been keeping it fully coated all day, and I really hope to be able to claim that I win this war maybe tomorrow. So I'm just
That's
trying
awesome.
to
I'm
think
glad you're starting to
non-itchy
feel better.
thoughts. Yeah, just
So
annoying.
to, so tonight we actually have a unique idea um, for a show. We don't really have a topic to talk about, but we're going to make up a tournament right here on the podcast. It may be a huge flop. We may be crashing and burning, and nobody will ever listen to it, but we're going to try it out because I just got off a podcast or YouTube live with another channel called KMB Anglers, and I was talking to Tom and Kelly on there about uh, going live again, going live, doing stuff live on my channel, Palmetto Cats. And Kelly asked me if we're going to start up the fishing tournaments again. I said, I don't know, we'll see. And we talked about, they got some ideas up the sleeve, and then I brought Mike up in the show, and I said, Mike and I usually bounce ideas off of each other. I'll say, "Hey, have you thought about this?" And he goes, "No, but have you thought about this?" And then we'll end up with an idea. So we're gonna do that live for you. Well, live for the Boom Squad, but we're gonna do that on the podcast tonight. So before we get started, make sure that you share the podcast with somebody. If you like listening to the Real Deal Fishing Podcast, please share it out with somebody that loves fishing, and we greatly appreciate it. If you want to see the show, you can go over to the Real Deal Fishing Podcast YouTube channel, click that thumbs up, click subscribe, share that one out as well. Also, my main channel, Palmetto Cats Adventures. Come over here and check it out. We're almost to 10,000 subscribers, y'all. That's a monumental thing, and I never thought we'd get there. We're not there, but I never thought we'd be even close to getting there. But come over there if you want to come and chat with us live when we film these things. You can join the Boom Squad. And last but not least, go over to Murillo Family Fishing YouTube channel and check out my co-host Mike. Him and his daughters and his family go fishing a lot in Iowa, and it's a blast. Go watch them live streams. Try not to fall asleep when Mike talks to you because he's got that voice, that chocolatey, silky voice that everybody loves.
I've been thinking about taking a book with me because if I skunk, at the very least, I could read the book like everybody's been asking me to do.
Yeah, man.
I read Leia a book tonight before she went up to get ready for bed.
She didn't hear much of
And
that book, did she?
no, not really. The thing I'm working on is not having to cough or yawn
Mm,
while I read the whole book. And I have to
yeah.
tell you, that's a significant challenge. I'm
Yeah.
willing to bet when people do record that kind of stuff, they take breaks and they know how to edit and
Mm.
fix things and cut
Sure they
this or
have
that out.
lozenges and
Yep.
stuff there too.
Yep. And
Well,
they
the
probably know how to
the
speak with them in there too.
right. So the
Talented.
idea for the fishing tournament is an online fishing tournament, a live YouTube fishing tournament. Done several of these in the past, and they're very prevalent in the small catfishing community that we call our own. So much so that we kind of got away from it. But I think it's time that we find some unique ways that nobody's ever thought of to do a tournament. And so Mike and I we did cheat a little bit. I talked to him. I said, "Hey, I got this idea. Let's flesh out a tournament." And we got just the start of it going. But we're going to talk about it now. And if you have any ideas, you can always email us or comment on the video on the podcast YouTube channel. But this idea is kind of like a gauntlet or a derby or a task-based tournament. Was that fair to say, Mike?
I think so.
So basically, the premise is it's a multi-species tournament. There's 4 species of fish, and these are like broad species. We're not going down to like this specific fish, but anglers will have an unlimited time to catch 4 species of fish. The first species, or they don't have to do it in any certain order, but they have to catch, I think we said 5 panfish.
I think 5's a good number.
Yeah, and so that would include crappie or crappie if you're fancy, bluegill, sunfish, redbreast, pumpkin seed, spotted sunfish. What else are we naming? White perch, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not white perch. I don't know. Let's take white perch out of there. But kind of like a brim. A brim or a crappie, basically. And anything that kind of falls in that area. Copperhead brim, shell cracker. We call them stump knockers, green sunfish, things of that nature. Can you think of any other that would fall in that category?
The other one that I like your name for it better than ours. I think you have one called a warmouth.
Oh yeah,
I think
warmouth.
that's a
Yeah,
bass, isn't it?
it's kind of like a hybrid. The mouth of a bass.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
mouth of a bass and the body of like a green sunfish.
I would have to think those are fantastic bait. I mean, that sounds like a mean little sucker.
Yeah, they're not. I don't catch too many of them.
Oh,
I catch like 1 or 2 a year.
but I'm sure everybody gets our idea.
Yeah,
put the small ones in there into that one category.
And then another category would be some type of bass. So largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, striper, yellow bass,
There's white bass. There's
um,
did you say spotted? I know there's
spotted bass. Spotted bass is another one. Rock bass, I think that's a striper. So not as many bass species, but this will cover pretty much the whole country. Most people should have some type of bass in there, and we'll even take like a hybrid, like a wiper.
Mm-hmm.
Wiper, striper, white bass, yellow bass.
How many of those are we gonna? Are we thinking?
I was thinking 2 or 3.
Maybe 2 or 3.
What do you think? I'm not a very good bass angler, but
I like odd numbers. So then hopefully, let's say that nobody is able to complete the full gauntlet. They're not able to run the gauntlet.
Ooh, I like that.
Then we have to have some sort of a point value or a way to separate, because there's a chance that there wouldn't be anyone who finishes in an allotted amount of time.
Yeah, we're going to put a cap on the time. Let's put a cap of 8 hours.
Yeah. I think we need to cap it.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'd have another Iron Cat on our hands, and we ain't doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Been there. Done
Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. Took the photograph. So, yeah, let's put a cap on it. 8 hours is good. You're writing this stuff down, right?
Yeah.
So 8 hours. And if they don't, so each fish is worth a certain point value?
I think we can come back to that. We don't. Whenever brainstorming, I always like to just
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
running and write down as much stuff as I can,
yeah. Let's
and
finish up
then
the
detail
species.
it later.
So you
Because
got your
let's face
bass.
it, too. Usually, I give you an idea, and it's not fully detailed, and you're like, "Okay, but we're gonna have to get specific on some
Yeah,
things."
we
So,
will.
yep.
So you got your panfish. I think did I say 5 or 4?
You said 5.
Yeah, 5, and then 3 bass, and then catfish, and I don't know, 3 catfish maybe, or 2.
We had said 2, but
Yeah,
um
2 sounds good.
2 would make it an even 10 for those 3 categories there, and then we said 4.
But let's stick on the catfish for a second. So we're gonna allow bullheads or no?
I say let's include them. I mean, some places they're more abundant than others. Sometimes they're right there, right with those, bluegill. Sometimes they're right there with the channel cats. I mean, you can
Mm-hmm.
get it gives a fisherman an opportunity to get either.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that bullhead tastes better than channel cats, but
Yeah.
that's also I'm in the Midwest. Maybe my bullhead tastes differently. I don't know.
And I don't think I've ever caught a bullhead. But we have white cats, and people don't have white cats. So that
Well, I liked your concept from the beginning because I felt like it was kind of inclusive. I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh, how nice a concept. It includes this, it includes that, it
Mm,
considers this."
yeah.
I'd say we consider all all types of catfish. I would say white cats, bullheads, whether that be black, yellow, brown,
All right.
and
Well,
then
let's
you
just
have
do all catfish.
the catfish family.
So
There we
two
go.
two catfish,
A salute to the catfish family. How about that? That's cool.
and we're even doing the B word, the ditch pickles,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Green carp.
the green torpedoes. So all right. So we got 3. We got the just to recap. We got 5 panfish, which can include crappie, and bluegill, redbreast, pumpkin seed, warmouth, stump knocker, green sunfish, spotted sunfish, etc. Shell cracker. Um, but no perch. So we're not going to do perch. So it's not technically a panfish, species. It'll be a whatever. I think we get it. People get it. People get it. And then if they ask, we'll just say no, no perch. Um, and then we have the bass species. So we talked about striper, wiper, white bass, yellow bass, spotted bass, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass. Which that's a lot of species. I mean, and there's no size limits to these, by the way. There's no size limits. So that may be something we need to touch back on. Like, how exciting is it going to be to watch if it's just a bunch of little tiny fish being caught? You know what I mean? But we'll get back to that. So then catfish, you got your blue cat, you got your channel cat, you got your flathead, you got your white cat, and you got your bullhead. And then there's subspecies of bullhead. Um, but we'll include all of those. And then here's the really fun part. And so there's a 4th species, and it's a mystery species. You have to catch one mystery species of your choice. So anything that we haven't named, you can catch, which include perch, carp, suckers, red horse, skipjack, herring. But it has to be on rod and reel. That's the only thing.
Drum.
Drum, sharks, stingrays. If you're a Creole type person, you may have
Yeah.
all that.
If sharks are your new thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a total of 11 fish, correct?
Yes. You
So
said
that's
one mystery?
one mystery. Or do you want to do
Yep.
two mystery?
I don't know. I like the number 11.
Right. Two mystery. One mystery, sorry. So we'll put a point value on that. So I think let's go back to the points. I think the panfish, because they should be the easiest fish to catch, should get 1 point apiece. So that's 5 points. The bass, maybe we go. I don't think the bass are the easiest to catch though. What do you think?
Insert
value.
joke. Insert
joke.
mean joke here.
And Boom Squad, that's in the chat. We got LG Bass and Doc Reed. You guys want to chime in? What do you think the point value should be? So that's one of the benefits of being on the Boom Squad. You get to interact and create this stuff with us. But I was thinking at least 2 points for bass, maybe 3, since you like odd numbers. Let's do 3
Let's do 3.
because it's 3 bass, right?
Correct.
3 points apiece, 3 bass.
Correct.
And then our catfish. Let's do you want to do 5 points apiece because they're our favorite.
Sounds good.
And then the mystery fish, I don't know. So how many points is that? That's 10, 19, 24.
If you get all of them, you'd get up to 24 to that point.
And so mystery fish can be 6. That way we'll have an even 30. So a perfect score would be a 30. Okay. So you got 8 hours to run the gauntlet. I like that. I'm liking this gauntlet thing. That was the first thing that popped into my head. LG Bass said it takes a master angler to catch a bass. I don't know, man. I've caught so many and not warning them. I don't know. I must be a master angler. Then. I don't know. So in 8 hours to complete the gauntlet, and if no one completes the gauntlet in 8 hours, the angler with the most points wins.
And then unfortunately, we have to consider what if there is a tie. Because you said they can do them in different orders.
Yep.
So it could be possible.
Now here's a question. Can they start on panfish, catch 3, and then stop and go to catfish? Or should they have to finish the category before moving on? Here's the other thing. Those of you listening, we've already decided that if they're catching, they have to designate. I'm going for panfish now. If they catch a bass while panfishing, it does not count. So that way we rule out luck. This is a more skill-based type tournament, even though it's not high stakes or big fish. But that'll keep that because, man, when I'm using a brim buster, I can catch all of those species on a brim buster.
Yep.
And it could be at the same spot. So definitely want to designate. So if I say, Mike, I'm fishing for panfish, and I catch 3, and I stop, and I go, I'm designating bass. Maybe I see one swimming up or something like that. Or should they have to finish the category first?
Well, I guess it comes down to a logistical question then. As the host and tournament director, you would have to keep track of that. Mm-hmm. So I think in fairness to you and in fairness to them, let's say they do feel like there's some bass running through there and they think that's going to be their best shot at it. If they switch categories, should they then have to finish that category without, maybe you only get one chance to switch off
Oh, yeah.
throughout the whole tournament, or maybe you get two chances to switch off. But if we do that, it's one more thing for you to have to keep track of.
Yeah.
It's very fair to them, but we also need to consider what's fair to
Yeah.
the tournament.
Well, see, here's here's my reasoning. Let's say that you and I are going against each other, and you just got the catfish, or you finished your catfish, which are worth more, and you have a bunch of points, and I'm like, ooh man, I've only got the panfish done, or I've got half the panfish done. I want to go ahead and get these points, so I want to jump to catfish and get those points. I don't actually mind them switching, but I think it does, for entertainment's sake, it would kind of put a little twist in there. Like, yeah, well, I only got like lifelines. I only got one lifeline left.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. So maybe 3 lifelines, or you said 2?
Well, we got 4 species, so I guess just thinking numerically, I wouldn't want to switch more than twice,
Okay.
just out of fairness to everybody and everything.
And that'll
And it
just
would
take
be,
organization on my part. I have to have a list,
yeah,
and I'd have to have like panfish, roe, a bass, a catfish, and a mystery, and then a switch. And I have to just
yeah,
put the tick if they took a switch.
yep.
I like that. So up to 2 switches.
This brings in an excellent question too.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to require that they use the same rod? Like they have to switch the rig, that if they choose to switch the rig, or are they going to be allowed so many rods that they can utilize? Like there's 4 species. Should they be allowed 2
I think
rods?
1 rod per species.
Or 1 per, see that it's a good rule, I think.
Because that way, they don't have how many catfish did we say? 2?
Yes.
They don't have 2 rods out and catch both of them at the same time.
And think about it too. The way that you target these fish, you can utilize different equipment. Somebody might be like, well, I'll throw out a itty bitty little hook and a little piece of night crawler on it. I'll get my panfish, but I got to throw crankbaits over here to try to get bass. So then that way they don't have to waste time re-rigging. They can just grab the other rod.
I like that. So you can only you can have 1 rod per species, and you can only fish with 1 rod at a time.
Ooh.
So if
that's challenging. That's good. I like that. It's unique. It's that's just like Tom said, a master angler right there, working the multi-species.
So I have to select before the tournament starts. For panfish, I'm going to utilize a brim buster. Then that's it. I can't switch to another rod or anything like that. Or should we just do 1 rod? You can have a different rods, but you can only use 1 rod at a time. I think that'd be more, because if I'm fishing with a brim buster, but the panfish aren't next to me and I'm bank fishing, I need to cast to that one. So I might want to pick up a different rod.
Yeah.
So let's take the 1 rod per species off.
Okay.
And let's put 1 rod at a time.
Do you still think that we should have a 4 rod maximum?
No, because they can only fish with 1 at a time.
Yeah.
And that would be better for the viewer too, because especially when you go to bass, you say, oh, I got a top water, I got a crankbait, and I got a lipless, or whatever.
Yep. And they could already be strung up.
Show us, and yep.
Yep.
But they have to stop using 1. I think the main reason for the 1 would be the catfishing and the mystery species. Like, I just don't want 10 rods to be out there and you catch both your catfish at the same time.
Yeah.
That's not as fun.
I mean, that's like fishing in Iowa. That's not fun. Throw a bunch of rods out there with night crawlers all over all of them, and you catch 4 different species all at the same time. Anyway, that's not calling your shot. That's luck.
All right, so all right.
This is really clutch. There's another word that's come to mind. I mean, this is clutch.
So let's revisit. So some kind of gauntlet. Gauntlet's got to be in the name. And if you got an idea, let us know. So it's a multi-species tournament, 4 different species. You can fish for any species at any time, but you have to call the species you're fishing for. If you want to switch from one species to the next, if you're not finished, you have two opportunities to do that. You have 2 switches. So, for instance, if I'm bass fishing and I catch one of my 3 bass, but I want to do pan fishing now, I can use one of my switches and go back to pan fishing. And if I finish pan fishing, then I don't have to use a switch to go to a different one. But if I catch 2 of my 4 panfish, I don't know, man. Should we make the panfish higher than 5?
I mean, lots of people got pretty good panfish holes. Honestly, when you first said it, I was thinking like 12, but
let's do 10.
Okay, so let's look at that.
We'll kind of split it up because panfish are easy to catch, and I don't want it to. Maybe my luck, we're gonna have somebody that catches all of them within 10 minutes and it's over.
That brings it up to 35 total points.
Okay,
still a good number. Odd.
So 10 panfish, 3 bass, 2 catfish, and a mystery fish.
Yep, Rey Mysterio.
I like that. Yeah, 10 panfish is a little more. But they're only 1 point apiece, so they don't count as much. So you kind of have to strategize.
If you look at this, you just did something really awesome from a numerical perspective with that change. The panfish total, the panfish total is 10 points. The bass total is 9 points. The catfish total is 10 points. And the mystery fish is 6 points. So then that makes all the other of them pretty much equal. A 1 point slight on the green carp, but that's as close as it can get, really. Kind of makes me think we should up the mystery fish to 10 and make it an even 40. Interesting. Anyway, I can get lost in numbers all day.
We can do that.
I tell everybody the world is
numbers. The point values really don't matter to me. I just don't want it to make it to where, let's say the fishing is really tough and then they catch the mystery fish and they beat everybody.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of like to keep the point values close.
Because it could be that their waters are full of suckers.
Yeah.
And it's easy to catch a sucker as a mystery species fish.
And let's say somebody only catches their panfish, so they have 10 points, and then they catch 10 panfish, and you catch 1 sucker and a panfish, and you beat them.
And you beat
them. So I don't want to get to that.
Yep.
So 10 points for panfish. You got 3 points, or should we should make it really skimpy? So like 1 point per panfish, 2 points per bass. You don't have to write this down. Just thinking about the math. So that's 16 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 points per catfish. That's 22 points. Right?
Stan Smith would be done right there. 22 points.
Or is it? Wait.
You're
Did
right.
I do my math right?
Yeah, you're right. That'd be 22 plus a mystery fish.
And then your mystery is 4.
So then it would be 26 total.
That'll keep it tighter. What do you think about that?
I
You were
like
kind
it.
of digging the other point value thing. 1.135.
I think that it more equally values each fish.
Mhm.
Like you were saying, you don't want someone to be able to catch one mystery fish and a panfish and beat someone who finished their entire panfish
Mhm.
section.
Yep. Uncle Jeep said too much math. So the panfish are easiest. Those should definitely be worth 1 point.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just thinking about my own waters. The hardest fish to catch out of this whole scenario for me would be probably the catfish or the bass.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know. I don't really fish for bass, but I catch them on the brimbuster all the time. So,
Do they not make it into the videos? Are they cut out?
I
Caught that one on that huge piece of cut bait, remember?
yeah. Well, and I caught one when I did the veterans tournament video, where I went out fishing in the canal, bumping the canal, and I went to the hatchery. I caught a nice largemouth over there, about a 1 pound largemouth.
You guys got stripers out there?
Yep, you got stripers.
Are they
Can't fish for them.
monstrous?
No, they're
No.
small stripers.
Oh, okay.
You can't. I mean, they get up to like 25, 26 inches, but not like you see in the Tennessee River, in the James River. Or in our we have stripers in our river too, down towards the saltwater. They're bigger. But so I don't know. So if you got all your panfish, that's 10. All your bass, that would be 8. If we did 2 points. You said 3 bass, right?
Yep.
So that's 8. 18. And then your catfish, if they're 3, that's 6. So that's 22. I don't know, man. I'm indifferent, but I really don't want anybody to run away with it with one fish. Uncle Jeep said we actually have lots of stripers in the big lake of north of Phoenix. Nice. Well, maybe we'll come back to the points thing. You're the math person. You're the one that gets off on that stuff, not me. I hate math. So okay, so we got the species. We got the oh, here we go. We got a suggestion. Why not 1 point per all the fish? The first to fill all categories wins. Well, that's the premise. If you beat, the points don't matter if you finish first. The points only matter if nobody finishes.
And that's why we're trying to diversify it just a little bit, so
Mm-hmm.
that way hopefully there wouldn't be a tie.
Yeah. So like, and that's why we're talking about the points. So if you get to hour 7 and nobody's close to finishing, then you might want to start strategizing and say, well, I'm gonna try to catch this fish next because it's worth more points and I can be in the lead. So that's kind of why we're thinking about that. But yeah, Tom, the person that finishes first wins, definitely. And then we'll do a second and third place too. All right. What now? We were talking about earlier. We were talking about well, I was talking about the size and it being entertaining, but I think with all the shifts, like, I'm going to take a switch. That'd be pretty cool. What other kind of rules should we put in there to make it more interesting, or do we have enough?
Well, I think it's important that the waters not be any like accessible
Mm-hmm.
hatchery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally have anything against pond fishing,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be private or public. And I think that this situation here kind of that's it makes me think, man, there's probably a pond not too far around here or a really, really small lake that may have a good chance to catch all this. Um, and like I said, I thought you were being very inclusive and inviting to different anglers out
Mm.
there. You know, I mean, let's take me. I'll just talk for myself. I could never catch a 50-pound fish, and people fishing other great fisheries always have that opportunity. It could happen at any moment. I
Yeah.
know it will not happen for me, but this is different. So and I think that there's a lot of anglers out there who catch catfish, but they also really enjoy bait fishing and
Yeah.
catching those fish. I mean, it's fun. My
Hmm.
kids love it. I love watching my kids fill up uh, a bucket of bait for me. You know, it's just such a positive vibe. You had said that earlier in the show. You're pushing the positive vibes back through your shows and through everybody who's gonna enjoy and partake. So I think this
Yeah.
probably, you know, you hatched it right there, right
Yeah,
at
I
the
don't
front of
think,
that.
but I don't think. I think if it were kids, I think we could go for the ponds, and we can go for that sort of stuff. But I think we should stick to, it doesn't have to be a major body of water. It doesn't have to be the
Yeah.
James River, but I
Still
think
a
it has to
lake,
be
river, or a
a
reservoir.
public lake, river, or reservoir.
Okay.
I think because I don't know. I can also go to a neighborhood pond around here and catch 4 different species. But how much does that say? What does that say about my angling skill? Not much, because I'm going to a spot that's stocked. People put it in there, they can't get away, they can't swim away. It's like they want to eat, they're going to eat my bait. So, if we're talking about kids, shoot, let them fish wherever they want. That's going to be fun. But we're talking about adults. I mean, you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, bigger body of water adds to the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know how to fish for all these species in a river. I'll say that right now.
Oh, it's easy.
I would pick a small lake that's got some nice rock sand transition.
I guess you're thinking about bank fishing too.
Yeah, I'm a bank fisherman.
Every
There you go.
river's got their back creeks and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, bank fishing. I definitely it should be a public body of water. Um, a reservoir, a lake, or a river, or a public creek. You mean a creek too? Like Steve Douglas did a couple videos in that creek down behind his property. That's not stocked with anything.
Did you
But
see later on he still had that Spider-Man doll in
yeah,
the back of his boat?
yeah, he's got it in his boat. That's his hero or whatever he calls it. So okay, so now we kind of have a format. We got some rules for those of you who are just catching up, or those of you who want to recap. Let's do one. So um, it's going to be called something gauntlet. Gauntlet of terror, or the the mystery fish gauntlet. I don't know, something gauntlet, because that's just the first word that popped into my head. Um, the real gauntlet, the real deal gauntlet. Since we came up with it on the show, the real deal gauntlet of Habersham. Mike doesn't really say anything when he
I
doesn't
like it.
approve. He just kind of sits there and like, "You sure you just said that? You sure you really want to had said that?" But yeah. So it's a multi-species challenge. Um, the first species that we're going to name is panfish. If you catch 10 panfish, which include, no, we're not using the goober gauntlet. Good point, Uncle Dave. Um, the panfish includes bluegill, redbreast, pumpkin seed brim, stump knockers, green sunfish, warmouth, no perch, no bass. Okay, you have to catch 10 of those. Each one is worth a point. Correct?
Correct.
All right, you wrote it down, so I'm just kind of get you to check. Yes, that's it. You have to catch 3 bass, which can include largemouth, striper, spotted bass, smallmouth, white bass, um, white bass, so hybrids, yellow bass, and those are worth right now 2 points apiece. I kind of like the 3. Let's go back to 3. 3 points apiece. So a race and 3 points apiece for bass. So that's 9 points and 10 points. That's 19 points. And then you have to catch 2 catfish of any species. So we're including bullheads in this. And people will probably not like that part, but we're going to do it. Bullheads, white cats, blue cats, flatheads, channel cats. And we said those originally we're going with 4 points apiece for those, or 5.
We were going to go 5.
Okay. I like that. Let's go 5 points apiece. We'll go back to the thing. You liked it, right?
I like it both ways, actually.
Oh, you do?
Yep. I think that it's even no matter which direction we were going to slice it.
Okay. Yeah, let's go 5 because I like the 1, 3, 5.
1, 3, 5.
And then you have a mystery species. This can be your choice, but you catch one of those, but it can't be anything that is already in the tournament.
Yeah.
So it can't be a brim or a bass or a catfish. It has to be like a carp, any carp species, sucker,
drum, pike, muskie.
Yeah, thank you.
Pickerel, walleye,
perch,
excellent.
Perch, sharks, trout,
yeah.
Flying fish, hammerhead shark,
megalodon.
Yeah. It can be a skipjack.
Yeah.
Herring, moon eye, things like that. So anything other than what we've already named. And let's so that one was like 6 points.
Yeah.
Or should we do that 7 to keep that theme, the odd theme, 1, 3, 5, 7?
I think that's a winner.
1, 3,
so
5,
if we go
7.
1, 3, 5, 7, then it's 36 points total.
Okay.
Is it? Yeah.
I like it. And again, the points don't really matter unless nobody finishes.
Yeah. And then we're just trying to help.
Yeah, sturgeon too. Yeah, sturgeon will work. Sturgeon would be awesome. I might just give you 14 points if you catch a sturgeon.
Yeah. Yeah, we might change the rules.
If you catch a sturgeon, you win. No, I'm just kidding. You win everything.
Stan's like, give me my rod.
Yeah. Oh man, so that seems pretty cool. Okay, so now rules: you can only fish a public creek, reservoir, lake, or river. Must be public access. That means everybody can fish it, and it's not stocked. Now that doesn't count. Like people might say, well, Kevin, Lake Moultrie, Sandy Cooper stocked, but it was stocked in 1972. It's not stocked yearly or monthly or something like that. So definitely no pay lakes. Pay lakes will get you disqualified, or you won't even be able to sign up. But if you end up going to a pay lake, I just don't support them. I know a lot of people fish them. But for this tournament, and the only reason I'm even saying it is because people go to pay lakes for trout. There's farm raised trout, there's farm raised this bass and all that. There's farm raised catfish. But just to keep all of the variables out of there, the bad parts of pay lakes, let's just say no pay lakes. The ones we really don't support are the trophy catfish pay lakes, where they take fish out of public waters to put in there to die miserable deaths. So so we're trying to stay away from that. I know there are some legitimate farm raised ponds. I don't have any problem with those, but anyway, I've said enough. That's the rule. And if you don't like it, don't sign up. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. And we say that respectfully.
Yeah.
Not every tournament is built for every angler.
That's right. Shoot,
That's why there's so
I
many
used to
different ones out
go. We used to go fish pay trout ponds all the time. But they raise those trout in ponds. They didn't take them away from the public waters. So the other rule is you can only use one rod at a time. You can have as many rods as you want, but you can only actively fish with one at a time. You can switch it as much as you want. Like, let's say you're fishing for bass and you have the rods hooked up with like 10 different types of, artificial lures for bass. That's fine. You can only fish for it's more for the catfish, really, and your mystery species. So it even translates to the catfish. You can have one catfish rod out there. That's it. One rod of anything at any time. You must designate which fish you're going after, which category you're in. So if you say catfish, then anything you catch that's not a catfish doesn't count. If you want to switch before you finish a category, you have 2 times to do that. Once your second switch is done, you have to finish the category before you can move on. You have 8 hours to do it. And if no one finishes in 8 hours, then then we'll go by points. And the points are what we listed below. So panfish 1, so that's 10 points. Bass 3 apiece, so that's 9. Catfish are 5, so that's 10 points. And then your mystery fish is 7, which makes 36.
Okay, so let's say there does happen to somehow be a tie in points. Tiebreaker, total number of fish caught, total number of species categories completed.
Ooh.
Prior to total number of fish caught as a secondary tiebreaker.
I like that one. So I really like that one.
At 8 hours, it should be over.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any overtime. It's gone on long enough.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a full day's work. And
so let's say that you and
more
I
work
both
than
have
some people put in
33
a quarter.
points. Is that even an option? Yeah. So let's say you and I have 33 points. So what you're saying is if I finished more of the category, if I finished 2 categories and you only finished if I finished 3 categories, you only finished 2, then I get an extra point.
I think that you should be ahead, given that you've completed more of the gauntlet.
Can you tie though? Can you tie if you don't have as many categories finished? I'm sure it's possible.
You can have 19 points if you get bass and panfish or catfish.
Ah.
And
but that's 2 categories.
You can have then if you had no, it would still be different then. If you had 2 bass and I had the mystery fish, I would have you by 1 because you changed that to 7. But let's say you get the bass and the mystery fish done. So you have 16 points.
Yeah.
And I get the catfish and 6 of the panfish done, or however many of the panfish done to equal your point total.
You only have one.
You've completed 2 categories.
Yeah,
I've only completed 1.
I just wanted to make sure that it could actually happen.
It could happen. Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah, if you're using your switches. So if you don't use the switches, it can't happen. I like that though. The more complex
negative points for the wrong fish.
That's evil.
That's wrong, Jeep. That is wrong.
Question from Tom: do you have to call a mystery fish? Yes. You have to, and that's the beauty of this tournament. You have to actually. It's like Babe Ruth. You're calling your shot.
You called your clutch.
I'm going for carp right now. I'm going for that 7-point fish. Now, I guess what he's saying is if you call carp, but you catch a different fish other than carp, but it's not one of the categories, does it count? I say no.
I
I
say
think
no
you need.
because
I think you need to
you had
call
to
it
name the species that you were going to catch. So if I happen to
now.
catch a sucker, wrong one.
So let's do this. Should we? Let's say that I start off. I'm going to catch carp, and I'm not catching carp. Can I change my species and then fish for that? Or um, let's say that let's say I'm fishing for carp and I catch a white perch. The perch
What
doesn't count, but then can I change it to white perch after that?
what if you allow that, I think it should count as a switch.
Hmm.
Then they have something to lose. It's a gamble. It's
Ooh,
spice for
I
sure.
like that.
It
That is
adds
spicy.
spice. I know you like
Yeah,
spice.
that's good.
Well, it's something to consider.
No, I like that. That's it.
That could be a twist.
That's the answer.
That
So
is.
if I'm saying I'm going for red horse sucker,
Yep.
but then a whole bunch of carp swim in,
Yep.
and I'm like, ooh, and I got a switch left, I'm gonna switch it and I'm gonna
I'm
catch
gonna
that.
switch it. I'm gonna switch it and take advantage of a switch. Yep.
Yeah.
Just like you said, a switch is like a lifeline. That's
Good
awesome.
question, Tom. Good question. See,
Yeah.
that's why all questions are important.
Yep.
I try to tell this to kids too. You don't really have a dumb question unless somebody answered it and you weren't paying attention. But that's not what I'm talking about. Like questions of any kind of inquiry, you know, it builds interest or it builds thought to other things like that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. What else can we poke holes in?
It sparks innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Innovation.
Yeah.
Innovation.
Thinking. What time of day should we start it? Should this be? I think it should definitely be a morning, because if you start at night, you're getting rid of your bass option. Well, no, you can catch bass at night. You're definitely getting rid of your panfish option.
You also add, I mean, let's face it, if you're out on a boat and it's nighttime, you are adding danger to the situation. I
Yeah.
think all of these fish can be caught during the day.
Oh, I agree.
I think during the day makes it maybe a little bit safer, a little bit easier, maybe, and possible. I mean, we're not trying to make things impossible. We just want a good challenge that's
Is 8 hours
versatile.
too long?
Well, 6, 8, call it whatever, you know.
Usually, most of them are 6 hours.
Yeah,
I was just thinking because of the added difficulty.
yeah. Which I thought
Here,
was fair. It's a fair point.
here's a question: can they move spots?
I think so. It's their time to spend.
Especially if you're like fishing for bass, you're gonna be
Mhm.
targeting different structure.
Yep.
And then, well, I'm gonna go for my mystery fish now. I need a grassy bottom or something like that. So yeah, they can move. What about the I don't think I'm gonna put like a live timer on it. Like, if you go in and out, that's you. You got this amount of time to do it. But any fish caught while you're not live obviously doesn't count.
That's fair. Way fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Everybody's going to ask about Joey, but I think you can have as many people out there with you as you want, but you can only use one rod.
Yeah, since you can
If you,
only fish with one rod at a time.
but Michael, if you want Lauren to pull in your fish, I'm going to count it. I think because no matter who is with you, you can only have one rod out.
Yep.
So if you have 7 Joeys, you can only use one rod still, with all 7 of your Joeys. But
I
if
would
you got
think
if you got your daughter out there and you want her to pull in that potential big catfish, I'm going to count it.
I would
What do you
think that it would only hurt me too if I had the whole family
think?
lined up on the bank
Yeah.
and fishing.
Yeah.
Like if all their rods were out and they are not the tournament rod, then I think that kind of just hurts me anyway. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a nice way of saying you
Do what you
probably
want.
don't need a Joey.
You don't.
Probably don't need a Joey, and maybe you should fish this one on your own.
But I think it, especially if there's any, females that are out there, maybe like Bex, doesn't like to fish those tournaments by herself because it's DC and crime
Yeah.
happens. Shoot, I know some guys that don't like to fish spots by themselves, bank spots. So, and I always encourage, if you go out on the boat and you're doing live streaming, you should have somebody with you. But
See, and
yeah,
that's a great
definitely
point right there.
they can use as many people as they want, but you're still only allowed one rod. And I think that one rod thing kind of takes the rest of it out of there.
Yeah.
And if you want your buddy to fish, like say Bill was with me, and he wanted to fish his rod too. If he catches a fish on his rod, that doesn't count.
Ooh,
That's unfair.
look at Jeep's idea. He says, "Ooh, multiple Joeys. One working the barbecue, one is the DJ, one working the fan, one is a bodyguard, etc."
I like that. LG Bass said that's unfair. He has Lauren.
That's right. That's right. I don't need a Joey. I got Lauren.
So let's go back to the 6 or 8 hour thing. What do you think? I think it'll be done before 8 hours.
I think someone would complete the gauntlet. I think that a few anglers come to mind. I think they could do it in less than 3 if they get hot.
Yeah.
And then again, you have some tournaments where they might go 4 or 6 hours and they struggle to catch anything, and some people can win with one fish or two fish. I mean, that's fishing for you. But yeah, a very versatile angler, I'm willing, could get this done in less than 2 hours.
Well, here's the
But
one
this is tough.
reason. Here's the one reason I say is it too long? Because we've been in that situation before in an online tournament when nobody's catching anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're looking at your watch, like this is boring. Hopefully that won't happen with the different species.
Yeah.
People are going to be catching stuff.
I would think that adding in the panfish and the bass and a mystery fish puts 3 of the 4 in everybody's favor. And I think that adding in all species of catfish opens up a tremendous opportunity to increase
True. And
the
there's no size
likelihood of
limit.
that category as well. So I think the whole thing is built really towards being successful.
Yeah, it's true.
So then let's look at it this way. You set it up for an 8-hour maximum. What if it's done in 4? You know?
Yep.
Then it's
Yeah,
just a
and
huge success.
I think another unintended positive for this tournament is that you're going to have up to 9 anglers. I'll probably just do 8 so I can have a co-host. But up to 9 anglers or 8 anglers that are going to be showing off up to what's that? Shoot. There's so many different combinations. 24, 30, 60 different techniques for catching fish. And I think it'll be important for me to stress to our contestants. It's like, all right, I want you to show us how you're going to catch that. Show us the bait. Show us the crankbait. Show us the rod, the reel. What type line are you using? So I think there's always going to be something to talk about, which will keep the interest up.
Yeah.
With multi-species. Because when it's just catfish, you can go through that like that. Hey guys, let's go down the line. What are you using? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But then
I'm dragging
bass, and they're like, all right, I'm switching to a plug, top water plug. Well, show us, what brand is that? How'd you tie it on? How are you going to work it? Panfish, are you using a weighted bobber, no bobber at all, tight line, split shot, what size hook, what size line, gulp minnow?
And if somebody throws a top water out there and actually gets video footage of that fish breaking the top of the water and striking that,
Mhm.
That's going to be pretty cool.
You know what? You just brought up another challenge I didn't think about. So, catfishing is pretty stationary.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to make sure that camera is turned in that field of view.
Yeah, they either have to get a tripod or have a chest mount or something to where they can take their phone along with them. You could walk a creek. You could carry the phone in one hand,
Yep.
carry your rods in the other. You could still wade through a creek. Kelly Bullock does it.
Yep. I think it'd be better. That may be where Joey comes in handy. They're
Yeah.
following you around with the camera.
Yep. Yep.
LG Bass brought up the next point I wanted to make. I want to do a top 3. So let's say that Tom finishes in 4 hours, but Catfish Regulators is still going. We still have the
Yep.
tournament to go. And
Yep.
so we'll probably go the whole 8 hours unless we have 3 people finish.
Yeah. Yeah. If you had 3 people finish in 6.5 hours, then
It is
your
what it
top
is.
3's done, and the rest of them are as they are. And we all go out for pizza earlier than we thought we'd go.
Yeah, Uncle Jeep said, but they'll need full screen focus when during the cast. Yeah, so what we'll do is
Yeah.
we'll kind of mix it up, and it just depends on who's fishing for what. So that'll be on me to good around and make sure I'm hitting everybody casting and whatever. And we may not, we may not see them hook up,
Yeah.
but we'll see them when they hold it up. So that does bring a challenge. It's harder to do the other species than catfishing because the rod goes down, you stand up, you reel it in, there it is, and you throw it back.
Yep. Yep.
So, but I think it'd be interesting. So
It'll
now
be
we got to
fun.
decide on when we're gonna do this. There's the next one. We got to figure out Zero Spooks, aka Demon Dragons, blow up on camera 5 points extra. I think definitely. I would think in the month of September. Because fall fishing still got everything biting. But I don't know what other tournaments are going on in September, so I got to figure that out. I know Rogers got one each month, right?
Yeah.
Something like the unknown waters, kind of like what I was going to do for the Master Angler series.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well we'll figure that out. But hey, man, we did it in an hour.
We
fully fleshed out and designed the whole tournament. So those of you who were
It's very unique.
maybe thinking about doing a tournament, that's kind of like the process. It takes longer when you're texting back and forth, but when you're talking to each other, you can bust it out real quick.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Well,
so
I had a great time.
LG Bass is saying the first Saturday of each month, so he says it should be multiple.
Oh, I think he's talking about Rogers. I think it's the first
Okay.
Saturday of the next 3 months in a row.
Oh, I got you. So we can do the second Saturday in September. That could be one. I gotta see what Saturday that is. But yeah, it's not hard. September 10th. I don't see anything on the schedule. You got anything to do September 10th?
No, we'll be starting off the school year. Leia will be going to all day preschool. Lauren will be going to first grade. So Saturday we'll just be chilling and watching our friends fish.
Uncle Jeep said, "Cool, first meeting's done. Who's buying pizza?" Well, y'all, it's been an awesome show. Very unique way to do a show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if we sparked any ideas for you and you want to send them on over, please comment on the video or email me, palmettocats@gmail.com. And 1 point extra for fish caught on chicken. Tom's been drinking too much coffee tonight. But y'all, we appreciate all of you listening. We're almost to 100 subscribers on the Real Deal Fishing channel, podcast channel. So go over there and check it out. The merch link is in the description of those videos too. So if you want to get you a Real Deal Fishing podcast shirt, hoodie, or a mug, go over there and check that out. Really high quality stuff. But Mike, before I pray us out, any last words?
You did the Santee Cooper Rig
Yeah,
tournament,
rig tying tournament last Sunday.
and I think that it might have been Missy Kennedy put a message up there for a prayer request.
Okay.
I thought she might have said that they had a
They lost somebody.
unexpected loss in the family. I
Yeah.
think
And I
that's
know
what she said.
Ernie Brown has not been doing good. So,
Yeah.
all right, I'll lift him up. All right, here we go. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another awesome podcast tonight. Thank you for mine and Mike's friendship, Lord. Thank you for the Boom Squad for coming in here and participating. Thank you for everybody listening. Lord, we want to lift up some of our friends. Missy Kennedy is they're heartbroken over an unexpected loss of a family member. Lord, we just ask you lift up and wrap that family up in your arms, Lord. Help them heal. Lord, Ernie Brown, affectionately known as Downtown Ernie Brown. Lord, I got a report earlier today that he's coughing up blood, and that's never good. So, Lord, you know what's wrong with him. We just ask that you heal him. Use the doctors and nurses to figure out what's wrong with him and heal him up, Lord. And our friend Kevin from K&B Anglers is sick tonight. We just ask you to heal him as well. And Lord, anybody else who needs healing, Lord, just pray that you would bless them and take those sickness away from them, Lord. And we just thank you for everything you do for us, and we just pray that you would keep everybody safe until we meet again. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. So yeah, her aunt died. That's what it was. Thanks, Uncle Chief. All right. Well, until next time, happy fishing, everybody.